Yep, so we're going to keep it Tiger's Peak, making sure that that random chosen map in the beginning is going to be the main map that we use, and we're just going to jump right into it, man. So, I mean, I don't know. I have no clue. I love watching this God comp specifically, though. They definitely have the ability to making those hard swaps that do crazy amounts of damage, just like the RMD does, but we'll see what happens. Are the teams mixed up? Nope, they're not, so we're good to go. But as you guys can imagine, this RMD is probably pretty warmed up.
Yeah. They've been playing a lot. That was a pretty long series they had against that Turbo Cleave. So this will be a good game. But I mean, if it's anything like the other RMD versus God comp matchup, jackorrylie, sandyl, and Versace are in for a difficult matchup.
Nightmare.
Yeah.
Nightmare on
pretty much.
right now.
Pretty much.
Shout out to Sidu for the host. Thank you, buddy.
And again, Versailles, like, if he was a Druid, he could be in stealth and avoid the sap, but they kind of rely on pulling them out with Mindseer and Blizzard, and if they don't, then he's just going to get the sap. They sap Sandyl, but he does get pulled out without getting a sap onto Versailles. A bit of a botched opener from the RMD. That's exactly what the God comp need. He even cloaks offensively here with Adrenaline Rush onto Jack, who does throw his silence out. There's the deep freeze onto Echo, but he was in bear form for it, so the polymorph doesn't land, and the ring does get interrupted. There's the fear onto Driftingz as well, just locking these polymorphs down, and Sandyl throws out his own polymorphs to try and stop it. There's the Hodge onto Unafraid. They're trying to punish that early cloak, but the Iron Bar comes out from Echo, the Swiftmend as well. He's going to be able to get some big heals. There's the Frostjaw onto Versailles, choosing not to Aura Mastery just yet. He has the Avenging Wrath out of it, and jackorrylie seems to be okay.
Yeah, Versace popping those wings, jackorrylie going to be fine for now, and jackorrylie actually did a wonderful job using his Disarm, his Fear, and his Silence, breaking up that RMD opener, and they weren't able to actually really force anything except Versace's Trinket, which is good for them, I think, in the long run. I mean, Versace's wings are fading, Sack comes out onto jackorrylie, he was trying to sack that sheep, but it ended up being on Sandyl, and now Versace caught into the full sheep. Well done by Driftingz. At the same time, Echo having to trinket a sheep on him as Unafraid gets disarmed. Echo caught into a half sheep. Unafraid using the killing spree, not really able to do much with that killing spree. I mean, he's forced into the cloak. That killing spree really didn't do anything at all.
Yeah, that's another really early cloak here. 2 used already so far in this game, only almost 2 minutes in. The full kidney landed onto jackorrylie with a clone onto Sandyl. He's going to bop that immediately before this Frostjaw lands, but he gets the deep freeze out of the Frostjaw. He's trying to freedom it to reduce the duration, but he gets cloned at the end of it. jackorrylie in a lot of trouble here. He does get locked out. The save by the Light Procs, the Ice Novas connect. The Aura Mastery is popped. He's not going for any flash heals with it, though. I feel like he maybe should. Obviously, he leaves Shadow Form to do it, and he's going for the MD, and he has to disperse as a result, and Versailles is going to have to sit in that full poly. He doesn't want to bubble this. If he has to bubble this, that's way too much overlap. A nice Fear, though, and Hodge onto Unafraid's Trinket there from Versailles. It's going to save his bubble for now. Now the polymorph landed onto Echo. They're trying to turn the pressure around. jackorrylie is reasonably topped off now. The Avenging Wrath coming up in time to top him. Driftingz spamming the polys onto Sandyl, possibly wanting to blink here. There's the deep freeze landed onto Versailles. He does pre-freedom it before the polymorph, so that's going to be reduced. He should be able to sit it. jackorrylie trinketing, going for the MD. He does land it there, but he's put into the half poly anyway, spamming the purge. He's going to be able to power shield himself here shortly. Saved by the Light might proc again. Versailles has to bop because it's not available. Mark for Death comes out and he gets cloned low HP.
Yeah, he also Versace uses bubble there, so cloning and denying those heals onto jackorrylie, this could be in big trouble if any CC comes out onto jackorrylie. He gets cloned on the sack. If they can get that sack off and get some CC, the Frostjaw comes out onto Versace, saved by the Light Procs, onto a full kidney, at the same time bassing Versace. jackorrylie is in a lot of trouble. I mean, they don't have anything. Versace has his trinket just coming up now, so he is going to be able to use that on this full poly. Hopefully he trinkets the full poly, maybe a little bit too late though. jackorrylie's still at around 16% HP. If we can see any CC coming out onto Versace, jackorrylie could just go down. Meanwhile, Unafraid taking a little bit of damage. The Bob coming out onto jackorrylie. Driftingz caught into that silence. Versace into the full blind. jackorrylie's still in that bop. If they can get that off, they can probably secure a kill here. I mean, he doesn't have too much left. His disperse is up in around 30 seconds, but he's doing a wonderful job kiting and avoiding some damage. Still at that 30% caught into that full kidney, but Versace is not CC'd anymore, and he is bombing out those heals, trying to fake CS over and over, and he does get those heals out. Yeah, well done by him.
Put into the Frost Jaw, possibly the Deep Freeze out of that. With no interrupts available, he throws the Hodge onto Unafraid. Doesn't get dispelled by Echo. There's the Polymorph onto Echo. He got the Iron Bark up before it. Unafraid should be okay with that feint. He throws the kick out, but it doesn't land onto anything. They land the Polymorph onto Versailles on his Avenging Wrath, but he does get MD'd out of it. He's going to be able to top jackorrylie hopefully here, but he gets the Adrenaline Rush pop. He's building up that buff pretty quick, and that's an immense amount of damage coming onto jackorrylie. Procs the save by the light. He's trying to use the Fade. He's trying to reduce whatever damage he can, but he might just die through it at this point. Killing Spree comes out. He's going to maybe kill him through Disperse. It's going to last for about 2 more seconds. He gets cloned, low HP, any CC on Versailles, anything, full poly. That has to be it. There's no way. 11,000, it's over.
Yeah. And that's the story. It's just this God Camp can't really make anything happen. And it seems like their rogue is like the only target they can do, and I feel like they need to try something else. They need to try and turn it around on Echo if they can. But I feel like, you know, if Echo plays safe, it's going to be really difficult for them. But, you know, as a caster, killing rogues, it can be extremely difficult, especially if he's doing a good job feinting and shutting down Jacker, you know? They're just forced into such a defensive position.
Yeah, the all game long too. I mean, they tried to. Even when the only times they tried to turn it around to get back into the game, jackorrylie was just sitting so low. It's crazy. Yeah. So if you guys were in the position of this God Comp, what strategy would you guys trying to do? Assuming that they kind of need a cheese right now, right? What kind of cheese strategy do you think you'd be interested in?
I don't even think it's cheese. I just think they need to utilize the Hodge. Like, the Paladin Hodge is just so strong. I think God Comp does so much damage, especially to Druids. I mean, if they can get their combo like a Hodge and a Disarm, Deep Freeze, you know, spamming those Ice Novas as well as like a Silence, he can't displace her away, and they can do a ton of damage to him in like a very short window. But
let's see if they're gonna change it up. The next map is going to be on Ruins of Lordaeron. So here it is, Ruins of Lordaeron. I mean, this was chosen by the God Comp. They want to be in their face. So with this map, I feel like they have a better chance of swapping to that Druid. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, that's. I mean, I think that's part of the reason they chose this map is because Echo's not going to be able to kite and get away nearly as well. You know, he's just forced to be in the open on this map.
And I mean, if they do decide to go on Echo, they do have Fear that will sit on Unafraid, as opposed to when they're hitting him, it's going to break. So if they can maybe utilize that Fear and Polymorph on the DPS as opposed to Echo, I feel like it might be a better strategy overall. And like you were saying, the Deep Freeze, Silence, Disarm, Arrested Druid can't blink out of the Silence. He's kind of just stuck in place. So unless Driftingz and Unafraid peel it, then he's in a lot of trouble. jackorrylie does get opened on here. No sap landed, instead blinding Versailles there right in the opener. There's a clone onto Sandyl. He's going to Trinket bop very early out of that blind to try and counteract the Adrenaline Rush, but there's the Hodge onto Echo. There's the Barkskin Force. That's the swap we're talking about. Shadow Fiend comes out. It does get rooted by the Barkskin, thankfully for Echo there. He's going to displace her beast before the Silence. He needed to get that out faster. If they got that chain, man, he was gonna die. If he got that Deep Freeze into Silence, it would have been over there, I think, and he's gonna be able to recover now. But if they can turn it around here and survive, they might be able to get a second chance.
Yeah, jackorrylie taking a significant amount of damage right now. Versace using his Aura Mastery, you know, he has no trinket available to him, but jackorrylie still has his Disperse and still has a trinket, and Echo literally used everything. He doesn't have a trinket, he doesn't have Barstein, he has no Ironbark, he has no NS, he has nothing for this next swap, and he is caught into the full Hodge. This could be the end for him. If we see any sort of follow-up, he is able to just kite away, though, for now, but, I mean, he's still in a lot of trouble with that no trinket. Versace using his wings, just trying to, I guess, get as many kills out as possible. It looks like this God Comp is sitting pretty for now. The bop comes out onto jackorrylie. Pre-bopping that sheep, well done by him. Good job by Echo getting the cross CC out onto Sandyl. And yeah, Echo's still in a lot of trouble if they decide to swap on him. Here comes the Disarm. He does decide to immediately Barkskin that into the Hodge. Just taking so much damage. Out comes the Devouring Plague. Out comes the Silence too. I mean, they're just doing so much damage onto Echo. This is really scary for him. The Silence comes out with the GR Deep Freeze down to 8%, 4%, 2%, and he is dead. That's exactly what we were talking about. I mean, those swaps can be so scary. I mean, the Wrestle Druids cannot displace her anymore while they're silenced, so they literally just have to sit there and tank.
Wow, that's exactly what you guys said needed to happen. That was awesome. So that being said, it is now 1-1 in this best of 5. Can this God Comp come back? But it looks like the map choice seems to take a huge part in this matchup. So, I mean, do you think that they'd be able to go on the Restoration Druid on a bigger map?
I think so. Yeah, he usually pushes in to get CC. I mean, he's a big part of their CC chain, and if they can scare him enough into not getting a lot of clones out by just like hodging and going in, it could swing the whole pace of the matchup. You know.
Yeah, jackorrylie did set that up really well with a double fear. Like I was saying, I think that's their best tactic. That's where they get the most CC, they get the guaranteed damage, and jackorrylie can actually do something. He's not kind of left as a dummy getting trained. He can CC the rogue with his own fear. And again, if they didn't, botch that little overlap or got the silence right away before the displacer, I think he would have died in the opener through all his cooldowns. Yeah,
definitely possible. I think you're right.
So,
yeah, you go ahead.
The next map has been decided. I'm sorry. It is Blade's Edge Arena, and this is chosen by the RMD. So, I guess they want to give the Restoration Druid little cubby holes to get away from, huh? And that Z-axis map, I'm sure they'll be able to utilize as well. So let's see, can this God Comp get a kill on this RMD if it's not Rune's Lordaeron? We're about to find out in just 1 minute here. The requests are going out. Hello? Yep, and it is going to be on Blade's Edge Arena. I'll see you guys in there in just a sec. Blade's Edge Arena.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So I feel like they got the most out of going on the Restoration Druid. I think that should be the kill target no matter what the map. How do you guys feel about that?
Oh, I think so too. Fist of Justice has a large range. It's not going to be super difficult for Versace to land it on Echo. And I mean, once they have their damage available, yeah, it's a pretty easy swap to do. All it takes is like a disarm and if you're on the DPS, or a hodge and if you're on the DPS, and I feel like they can just force so much pressure that way. And actually scare Echo to come in. Yeah.
I think he needs to run that Aura Mastery Barkskin glyph so that, when that CC chain is starting to stack up, he can kind of elongate the time he can't be silenced. Maybe that's actually what happened, where they weren't able to get that silence for so long, but he needs to kind of coordinate that Barkskin right at the end of the stun so he can't get silenced. And he's actually going to just camp and stealth this game. He knows that he might be the swap target. Does dispel the CC out there. The sap into clone onto Sandyl, possibly trying to clone his trinket, but he's not falling for that. Echo immediately camping bear for him. He knows that they're going to swap to him, I think. Unafraid with the adrenaline rush, trying to pressure jackorrylie as much as he can. Echo dispelling a VT, but there's the Shadow Fiend onto him. He immediately recognizes the swap, goes into bear form, trying to save his own Barkskin, but he's going to have to Barkskin anyway. There's the Frozen Orb. Comet Storm comes in. The Ice Novas as well. The silence is used out of that. He's dipping fairly low here. The DR Deep Freeze, it might be over. He has to Trinket NS, and it was not a Soul of the Force NS. He might end up dying.
It's over! Yeah.
You're just dead! You were just dead!
Oh my god. That's incredible.
Yeah. He used everything too. I mean, maybe he used some of the stuff too late, but he used his trinket, he used Iron Bark, he used NS, he used everything, Barkskin. He's just dead. That swap is so scary onto the rest of it. There's like nothing he can do about it either. That's the scary part, is there's no way he can avoid it.
Alright then, so that is going to be 2-1 in favor of this God Comp now. And so they're just one win away from taking third place at this point. I'm going to ask once again what map this RMD wants, but do you think that they should go with a different map? I feel like Blade's Edge is probably one of the best maps in regards to this Restoration Druid living, or
I don't think so. I think like something like Tolvaron would be better.
Oh, Tolvaron would be better.
On Blade's Edge, the rest of the Druids are pretty exposed. If he wants to get any sort of CC out, he's going to be like at least have to be in like mid-bridge, and it'll be easy to get like a Fist or a Disarm on him to start the CC chain. So something a little bit bigger with a pillar, I think, would help him more.
So instead of Tolvaron, they actually chose in a Grand Arena.
I don't think it's gonna matter. I don't think it's gonna matter. That's nuts. He was already in bear form, had higher max HP to try and live the burst, and that's what you really need against that kind of comp, is just more health. And it did not matter.
No.
That was insane. I mean, you could. What can he do other than what I was saying about the Ore Mastery Barkskin glyph? As long as jackorrylie doesn't silence into it, and they kind of just use the DR deep freeze, then he's not going to get any benefit of it. I bet this God comp wish they tried this in the past series, though, because that looks really strong.
Yeah.
There might be a flag on the play. Oh, no, there it is. Echo is in the game, ready to play. And I don't know. I'm excited to see what happens between these two teams. I mean, the very first game, it felt so convincing in the RMD's favor. Then all of a sudden, these swaps to this Restoration Druid just seem unhealable. So it can go either way, for sure.
Absolutely. We'll see what Echo does to respond, but like I said, the swap is it's pretty unavoidable. There's like not much you can do besides hodding yourself and making sure you're in bear, but it doesn't even look like that matters too much.
Yeah, Echo's probably going to camp stealth, maybe even longer. I mean, in this matchup, Drifting's ice blocks are kind of almost disposable early in the game, so maybe he should just sit in stealth. Just wait. Use the ice block if he gets in trouble, come out, try and let his team go, but he does get the early clone, overlaps with the polymorph on the Sandyl. The kidney shot landed on the jackorrylie. Versailles does have the sacrifice up to try and avoid the poly, but he does get put into the frost jaw. The sacrifice is purged. They're trying to land the polymorph. They do land it. Unfortunately, that frost jaw from Sandyl just a little bit too late. Drifting's using that ice block offensively here, going for the polymorphs onto Sandyl. Jackorrylie's just not able to set up onto Echo yet, and he is playing very far back in bear form, man. He is scared. That is the face of a scared bear.
Yeah. Jackery going into the bot. Versace also popping his wings. A little bit of pressure, but it looks like they're going to collapse onto Echo. The Hodge comes out. Barskin comes out onto that. Disarm coming out of a Jackery onto Echo. Into the Fear on the DPS. DR deep freeze, and he is just in a lot of trouble. I mean, there's silence. He has to trinket there. This Ironbark trinket, Barskin, everything. Heart of the Wild, NS. Every button was just used by Echo. So the next swap on him, I mean, could be fatal if they line it up properly.
Yeah. I mean, that could just be the game right there. They haven't forced a disperse. They haven't forced a trinket on Versailles. They haven't forced a bubble. They're not under any pressure. There's the smoke bomb, but he could answer it with disperse if he needs to. He's not even going to. The killing spree coming out, and he's just laughing in the face of Unafraid. He's not dispersing. He needs to. 50,000 HP. He does get it off in time. Versailles into that frost jaw. He doesn't have Ore Mastery available. There's the deep freeze. There's the offensive clone onto jackorrylie on the disperse. Maybe they can win here. 80,000 HP. Full clone onto Versailles. He's going to bubble out of that immediately. Nice double fear. They need to set up onto Echo soon, and again, this scared bear running away. They know he knows what's up. He's trying to LOS. The blink comes in. No stun landed yet onto Echo. There's the disarm finally landed. He's fully, not fully hotted in bear, but he does have the bark skin for the deep freeze. I would imagine the silence coming out. There's the comet storm. There's the frozen orb. Ironbark comes out before the silence. Thankfully for him, that might save him. Devouring Plague comes out as well. He has an S available, and he lived the swap. And jackorrylie has no disperse.
Yeah, jackorrylie taking a significant amount of damage right now. Versace only has his trinket left available in one stack. I mean, that was beautifully done by Echo. He knew exactly what he needed to do to survive, and did. Versace pops his wings to try to get some heals out of the Jackery, but he's taking so much damage. The sacks come out of Versace. He is able to sack that polymorph and still getting significant heals out. The Bop comes out. He is cloned. He is forced to trinket that as well, getting a little bit more healing out of his wings, but they don't have any cooldowns left. Jackery has no trinket, no disperse. Versace has no bubble, no trinket. Hodge comes out on Echo though. Driftingz blocking that fear to desperately try to peel. We know how scary this can be on Echo. He is caught into that disarm. Let's see if they have any follow-up for that. He is able to, it looks like, get away. The Ice Nova comes out, but he's going to be fine for now. And Jackery in a lot of trouble, down to around 50%. Versace caught into that polymorph. Any CC comes out of that, he could just die. The DR poly comes out. Could be a triple DR poly, but there comes the full blind. I don't think he has a bop available for that, so this could be the end for Jackery. I mean, he's down to 40% HP, but it doesn't look like this RMD has too much damage coming out. The double fear comes out on the Unafraid and Driftingz. Jackery, well done by him, keeping himself alive. Bash on Versace. The CC chain has still not ended. Finally ending, able to get some hots onto Jackery, and he should be okay for now.
Yeah, but the kidney, the DR defreeze comes out, Garou comes out, saved by the light procs. There's killing spree, disperses that immediately, acknowledging the polymorph and the killing spree. So nice trade-off there with the cooldown. Polymorph onto Unafraid from Sandyl. They just need to get control of Driftingz and Unafraid. Driftingz has no more blocks, so there's the double fear landed. Echo pre-iron barks the disarm though. Excellent play there because he doesn't have Barkskin, but they're going for it anyway. The Hodge comes through. He's going to trigger that immediately. The silence comes out, but he's managed to LOS and he's going to have Barkskin in 2 seconds. I'd imagine he's going to be okay, and now the kidney shot onto jackorrylie as well to peel it. Defreeze onto Versailles. Can they land any CC out? The poly does land onto him. No massive spell anytime soon, I don't think. The ice lances come crashing in. A polymorph coming out. Sandyl denies the polymorph with his own, and then throws a polymorph onto Unafraid, giving Versailles more time, but he gets put into the frost shot. Instantly Aura Mastery's out. Gives jackorrylie the freedom that he needs to kite. Sandyl throwing the Cone of Cold out as well, trying to keep Unafraid off, but now there's the swap onto Echo, but thankfully he has that Barkskin that he was able to not use earlier, and the double fear onto Driftingz and Unafraid. Unafraid's going to vanish immediately. It might just be over. Saved by the light procs with 30,000 HP left on jackorrylie. Deep freeze onto Versailles. They just need any CC, and they're just not getting it though. Sandyl's doing a great job denying the polymorphs from Driftingz with his own, but finally polymorphs now onto Sandyl. Versailles able to top jackorrylie. They might have another opportunity to swap to Echo.
Yeah, Jackery caught into that kidney. Versailles still has his trinket available. Jackery taking a significant amount of damage right now, down to around 35%. Versailles caught into that cyclone, deciding not to trinket. I guess that fear coming out onto Unafraid and Driftingz made it so he could play it safe. Well done by him. The Hodge comes out onto Echo. Here comes another swap. Disarm as well as the overlap defreeze. A little bit of a misplay. I think Echo is going to be okay because of that. Gets out the Iron Bark. Meanwhile, Versailles and Polymorph Jackery taking a lot of damage, still at around 50%. Defreeze onto Versailles. The cross CC with a clone on Sandyl, who he immediately trinkets. Kidney comes out onto Versailles. Smoke bomb. Blind on to Versailles. Jackery taking so much damage, down to around 20%. Save by the Light comes out. He is going to have to use that Disperse. So that was a lot out of them. Versailles also pops his wings. He's going to go ahead and try to top him off, and he should be fine for now, but they used a lot during that swap.
Yeah, Disperse and Trinket overlap, and now he's into the full poly. This has to get MD'd, or this might be the game. A cheeky Spectral Guise into Mass Dispel from jackorrylie. He gets him out of the CC. The re-poly anyway, though. He's going to be out of this. He might be able to save him. The last poly coming out. No, a full bash lands. No way. He could bop himself out of that. He needed to bop himself out of that. That's going to be the game.
Yeah. Well done by this RMD. It's just, that's kind of the story of the last matchup of this God comp, is like, if they can't make something happen on the Druid, it just seems like they can't do anything to the Rogue and Mage. They're just kind of immortal to them, unfortunately. So, I mean, if the Druid plays really passive and he kind of knows this is all they can really do, he doesn't have to hot the Mage, he doesn't have to hot the Rogue. All he has to worry about is keeping himself up, and he's going to be fine, you know?
Jeez, this is the most intense third place series that we've ever had here at GCD TV. I gotta tell you, like, every single time I see them looking at the switch to Echo, I'm like, oh my gosh, is this it? And then he's in trouble and has to run away. So that being said, it is 2-2. The next game is going to determine who wins this bronze match. But then right after this matchup, guys, we do have the finals, which is Tony Styles, Turbo Cleave going up against Generic, Majidin, and Danny Carey. It's Tony Styles, Truck, and I keep forgetting his healer's name. Let's see. What is Tony Styles?
Catch My Elk.
Catch My Elk, of course. Elk.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that, guys. We'll be going to the finals very, very shortly, but this is going to be the last map of this best of 5. The next win takes third place. So I'm going to go, but at the same time, it is also this God Comp's choice of what are you laughing at? I want to know.
Nothing. Just mispronouncing someone's name. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually Versace, not Versailles, but I decided to go along with it.
You know what? I think he's now Versailles. Just like Cool Bears is now Cool Beans.
Sounds cooler.
We'll call him Versailles. Does it sound cooler than Versace? I don't know.
I feel like Versailles is way cooler than Versace. No offense. But
Versailles sounds high class. Versace sounds like a clothing brand.
Yeah. That's because it is.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
So,
Versace.
this is the God Comp's map pick, though. So, I mean, that being said, it's the last map of this series, and it's the map pick of the God Comp, which I feel, last time, the Restoration Druid, Echo, he had nowhere to go. This could be a really big factor in this next game, but Let's see what happens. This is the last map of this best of 5. I sent the queue out, and it's going to be played out on glitching. Never mind. Hold on. I'm not letting you know until I'm in it.
Okay.
Well, no, you guys already probably know, huh?
I do now.
Yeah.
Queued up.
Glitched again. Okay.
I feel like both of these mages are playing so well. Like Driftingz that game just threw his blocks to save Echo. He is like, screw my own life, I'll save you, friend. Worry not, bear. My polymorph is here.
Okay. This next. Sorry to interrupt. Just gonna play the intro. They can actually hear you through if you want to talk. I kind of like talking during the intros, but the intros might be a little too loud for us. I'm not sure. I'm so scared for Echo though on this map.
Yeah, me too. But I mean, he did such a wonderful job last time, pre-iron barking a lot of the CC that was coming out onto him. So that was well done. Thing is, like, Driftingz he can afford to throw out those blocks, and that's exactly what he needs to do. That's what you're talking about, Super T's. You know, he's not going to be scared to die at all. It looks like they're kind of all in on Echo, and that's all they can really do. Otherwise, they're just forced into such a defensive position. They're not really doing anything that we've seen so far.
Yeah. So let's see if Driftingz can shut down those swaps like he did last game, and if Echo can get those preemptive iron barks, because in the past games where he's died, the Blizzard pulls Unafraid out. What a horrible start for him. He has to use a Vanish just to get the cheap shot Anchor Road onto Sandyl. jackorrylie taking a bit of damage here, but he does go into the Spectral guys here, but he's going to get pulled out immediately. Unafraid with that Adrenaline Rush kidney shot, trying to do as much as he can. There's the Hodge onto Echo. The Frozen Orb comes out. He's going to bar spin immediately. Nice double fear. Both Driftingz and Unafraid trinket and cloak offensively. Driftingz into that. He's going to get dispelled by Echo. The swap here kind of botched. Now jackorrylie in a bit of trouble. He does get kicked. The Ore Master comes up from Versace with the Avenging Wrath. He's going to top him off, but that was killing spree from Unafraid, and they've managed to survive without using Disperse.
Yeah, that swap on Echo, they really didn't force much. They got his bark skin, but he still has his trinket and iron bark available. So I mean, unless they can do it. I mean, they can kill him through his trinket if they do it right. Driftingz taking a lot of damage though, making sure to put some pressure out. So Echo has to use that NS onto Driftingz. The Hodge does come out onto Echo, and it looks like they are going to swap out to him. The Devouring Plague comes out into Ice Nova, into Deep Freeze. A little bit of overlap with Silence. Driftingz using that block defensively to peel for Echo, but he's not going to have that block. If they are able to swap on him, he could get punished because of that.
Yeah, but I feel like the God comp is like in an experimental phase almost against this comp, so swapping over to Driftingz might be a little bit too uncomfortable for them, but Echo has the Heart of the Wild up preemptively. There's the bomb into jackorrylie, Deep Freeze onto Versace. He's going to get out of that. The bomb denying any heals right now so far, and Sandyl actually blocking offensively. Both of these mages are playing crazy, man. They just do not care about their own lives. With jackorrylie dipping low, Saved by the Light does proc. He might end up dying. Disperse comes out. Killing spree from Unafraid. Does get polymorph towards the end of it. He gets dispelled into another polymorph. Sandyl doing a great job controlling him, but there's the swap onto Echo. Full Hodge comes out. He does get the bar skin up. He does have Heart of the Wild, but he doesn't have any hots. There's the disarm, potentially a silence out. jackorrylie does have the bop, so he can do damage right now. Silence lands, but he's sitting fairly high here. This is nothing like the swaps we saw earlier, and he's just going to displace her back to the room and recover fine.
Yeah, they didn't have their on-use trinkets for that swap. Meanwhile, Jackery into a full kidney Versace popping those wings, getting out as many heals as he can. Looks like Jackery's going to be fine for now. A lot of CC coming out of Sandals onto Driftingz and Unafraid. Well done by him. The clone comes out onto Sandyl. Not going to be able to CC as much as he'd like. The Fear comes out onto Driftingz and Unafraid. And it looks like they're going to try... I mean, Echo trying to like Iron Bark, they're swapped, and he's going to be fine for now, but they didn't do anything to him, so that could be a waste of that Iron Bark, and they might actually end up being able to kill him, because he has no Iron Bark, no Bark Skin, no Trinket, so if they're able to get a Hodge onto him, it could be the end.
Yeah, and there's the kidney onto jackorrylie. He doesn't have his Disperse for about a minute, but Versace has his bubble and his trinket. Throws the Hodge onto Echo. They're trying to get the swap, but is it the right time? Driftingz blocking again to try and peel this swap, but he gets Frost Shot on his Polymorph cast. He's going to block out of that as well and try and throw some Polymorphs onto Sandyl. He does manage to land it. He polys the Dispel as well. Echo is only surviving because of this support from Driftingz, and like you were saying, if they can swap him, they're going to. There's the Devouring Plague onto Driftingz. They're trying to get any damage they can onto him, but Echo's not getting CC'd, so it's not going going to be successful. And Driftingz with the Amplify Magic even. There's the silence onto Echo. Kind of wasted, I feel, from jackorrylie, and they can't afford to waste any crowd control like that. Now Polymorph's being spammed onto Driftingz. They're trying to control Unafraid as well. Frostbolt's being spammed out. Echo going for a clone. It does land onto Sandyl. Would have been nice to be able to counterspell that. He has to Trinket now as a result, and Echo's just camping that bear form. He needs as much HP as he can. There's the kidney. There's the killing spree. Disperse up in 4 seconds. He needs to live. 3, 2, 1. He's going to have that Disperse available. Ore Master coming up, but he gets cloned on it. Disperse might be used anyway. I don't really mind it being used, but the triple fear landed. Nice play from jackorrylie.
It looks like they're on Unafraid. He's caught in that hodge. He can't trick it. Echo having to use his trinket on Ironbark on Unafraid. That's not exactly what he wants. I mean, they could swap onto him now, having to use that trinket to keep up Unafraid. Well done by the Godcom. Meanwhile, Jackery caught into the full kidney. Versace having to use his bubble to keep him up, but he does get cloned. Beautiful clone by Echo onto Jackery. Denying some of those heals coming out of Versace while he's in that bubble. Bash comes onto Versace. Jackery's still in a lot of trouble. I mean, he does have that Disperse and Trinket available to him, but he's really, really low. Has to disperse at around 14% HP. The Deep Freeze comes out onto Versace. He is going to be able to get a little bit of heals out before the Frost Jaw and the DR clone comes out onto him, but I think that's the end of the CC, and he should hopefully get top. Never mind. Here comes the full volley. The bomb comes out. He's down to 20%. He's going to die. Man, it felt like that CC chain never end, because it didn't.
So the RMD at the end of the day, even on Runes of Lordaeron, is going to take the series. But that was an awesome series, ending at 3-2, and Hodge the Dome is